In the last video, we talked about how an AI agent is more than just a chatbot. Well, it can think, call tools, and complete tasks. But do you build one? And if you do, how do you do it? And that's where the LangChain agents come in. LangChain lets you plug in a language model like a ChatGPT or a Claude, a set of tools like calculator, search APIs, and memory and a reasoning. All the four parameters that we discussed is something which is there. In this video, we'll basically, unpack how a LangChain agent actually works. So a LangChain agent is a controller. It sits between the user and the tools, and it uses the LLM to decide what to do. So LLM is basically deciding what to do, right? What tool to, call, right? What input, to pass to the tool, right? And when to stop, right? And we kind of saw a couple of the way that we are basically using it. We saw the similar kind of operations in the function calling when working through an OpenAI method. In this example, if I ask them a question like, hey, what's the price of a gold today, let me tell me the meaning of inflation, it basically calls the gold price API, calls a dictionary or Google search, and return both the answers together, which means the logic planning, acting, and responding is handled by the agent. So let's understand the flow of LangChain agent. So a user types a question. So a user sends a message, right? Now the LLM starts reasoning, right? Reasoning, which means LangChain gives this to a language model along with, hey, tool description, previous steps, and some sort of the memory as well. Then it goes with a tool selection, process, which means the LangChain gives this to a, sorry, the LangChain basically, replies with something like, hey, I want to use the get gold price tool with input like today. Then it goes with a tool execution phase, okay, which means a LangChain runs a function or API with that input. Finally, you do an observation, LangChain sees the output, and decide whether to use another tool or respond to the user, right? And finally, it gives you the, answer, which is after the loop, it generates a final structured reply and will basically give you the output altogether. So what are the different types of LangChain agent, right? So LangChain basically offers different types of agent. To be honest, there are four types of it. One is a zero shot, right? We have a structured chat agent, a conversational agent, right? And an OpenAI function calling agent. Now we saw this already, right? In previous videos, we also created a project around it, but there are still like other agents. So zero shot agent is like, hey, the default one, which is think and act in steps, good for a flexible logic. A structured chat agent is like best when you need to create a fixed format, strong validation. A conversational agent is like maintaining a memory, remembering the past questions, and you all know about an OpenAI function agent, which is like using an OpenAI style functions calling behind the scenes. So based upon your application, you decide what sort of things that you are going to use. Well, actually, if you're a beginner, most of the tasks you can actually get it done using a zero shot React plus using an OpenAI function, which is basically a very very sweet spot to connect. So LangChain basically can use now a lot of tools like a math calculator, web search, stock market API, bank, balance checker, calendar booker, order tracker, and a bunch of other tools, right? So if you can write it in a Python and expose it via an API, it can be a tool, and LangChain just needs the tool object with name, function, description. That's it. Now let's look into a real world example of a LangChain agent. Okay, and I'll show you with this example diagram. So, and this is basically a scheduling assistant that reads email and replies with a calendar booking. So it basically combines calculator.ai, cal.ai logic, which is an email parser and its API, then an OpenAI chat model, and a LangChain, right, which is like a tool orchestration and reasoning. And let me just break it down. So we have a email parser, okay, which is nothing but okay, let me change the color of my. So this email parser that we have, it's basically it talks about, hey, I get an incoming email is received. The email parser is the one, is basically a block which extracts a key details like a name, proposed time, context like schedule a meeting or something. And this basically goes to a scheduling agent. Now this is a one which is basically a LangChain powered print. Now if you closely observe at this stage, what we have done, we have got we received an input, we basically sanitized with whatever function that you want to do before sending out into an agent. So if you remember, like I mentioned about sanitization of an input as well. So you don't give some random thing to agent, otherwise it might get hallucinated and it might do some XYZ task probably, which is not something which it totally understand it. So it's better that we sanitize it before passing out to it. A lot of time I have seen people using a block of LLM, which is used for sanitizing it as well. Okay. Next, we use a prompt, right? Step two is using some prompt, Scratchpad, which is a Sketchpad, LangChain. The extracted data is now basically being sent into a prompt module. Well, this prompt model that you're looking into, it is preparing the message in the form of a chat model, understand, and alongside a Scratchpad maintains a context. So previous steps like observations or even the you know partial replies. Now this Scratchpad helps the agent reason across multiple steps, just like a white. Then we have a chat model, which is an OpenAI block. You can, for example, you are using an OpenAI block. This chat model processes the prompt and the context. It decides whether to take action or ask more questions. If it needs to call a tool like a booking a timing, it creates a function call suggestion. Then we have a tool parser and a execution, which means a tool parser reads the model's output and understands, I need to use cal.com API to book a slot. It passes this tool to tool block and connected to the cal.com API. Once the tool runs, the response is passed back into the agent. Then we have the uh, you know step 5, which is like agent continues reasoning. So this is Scratchpad that you're looking into, it keeps on getting updated. So the model may now say, hey, here are the available slot, let me confirm when the with the sender. If it then sends a reply email closing the loop. So basically, in order to basically keep on summarizing this, right? So we have a cal.ai parse, which is like an email parse and final reply. OpenAI, the actual model that thinks, and the LangChain, which is like a tool orchestration and memory. And there's a classic React style LangChain agent, reading, thinking, using tools, and replying all autonomously. So with this kind of step, you can build an AI that does real work, reply to leads, schedule demos, and send calendar links without a human help. Right. So this is not just a theory. I've seen LangChain agents, that are used in production in actual workflows like scheduling via email. In the next video, we'll also see more of it, and we'll also go ahead and create a proper AI agent to get our task done. So see you in the upcoming video.